All right, let's take a look at Design 300, Section 1. This is your assignment guide, and this section, it lasts 2 weeks, is about site work. And over this 2 weeks, you ought to be putting in about 15 hours, all told. And what we're going to do is make sure that you can demonstrate to me a little bit of knowledge of some key terminology and standards, that you can work with some typical drawings and specifications, demonstrate a little knowledge of compaction. That's really important in site work. And then, of course, practice good resource management skills, such as files and things like that. So you're going to see right here this overview of this video that I'm preparing for you right now. So I want you to remember that this takes 2 weeks to do, okay? And you'll check for what's due on your modules. So let's take a look at that really quick to make sure that you know what's due. Okay, and I'm going to put it into a student view and then pull it up for you in a moment. There we go. There's our student view. And I'm going to bring it up here where you can see it. And you'll see I moved all the week 1 work to the bottom. Okay, so you'll see it at the bottom. I should be in a student view right now. Not sure. Oh, here we are. I've got week 1 at the bottom now, because you don't need that anymore. You're going to have the most current at the top. And you'll see that there's really just 1, 2, 3 activities that are the main activities to do. Okay? And then we'll continue on with some of the other ones as you go. So activity 1, 2, and 5. And then next week you'll do a little bit of 3, a little bit of 5. And your workbook is due both weeks. So take a look at this to make sure that you know what you should work on. You have 2 weeks to do this. Okay? So again, let's take a look at your resources. Remember, I had a lot of people looking for resources. They couldn't find it in the modules. I don't put them everywhere because then if I make one little change, I've got to find it everywhere. That's called revision control, and it's a big part of how we take care of our documents and our designs and our plans in industry. So when you do good revision control, you usually put things in one place that people know to go. So this is the one place that you'll go. You'll go to the Section 1 resources, and everything that you need should be on this page pretty much. There might be a few other things, but I try to get them all on here. You'll notice that there's a Design 300 general knowledge playlist and one about the assignment guide. Look through those. Some of these will be large and some will be small, but those are some YouTube playlists. I'll talk more about this preview scan, how to define and using 5 W's later. And then here's how to finish your workbook a little bit. These are just general things that make your work look nicer. Okay, and remember, you can get your workbook right here. So that's where your workbook goes. Now, some of you let me know that you really aren't a pro at using Google Slides and Google Docs and Google Spreadsheets, and that's okay. You'll become a pro throughout this class. I realize that many people are starting from zero. And if you get with me during an appointment during the week, I'll be able to show you the tips and the tricks on how to do that. If you struggled with it and got a little bit behind, don't worry. You have a chance to revise it all. toward the beginning of the semester, I give lots of opportunities to learn how to do these types of things. By weeks 5, 6, 7, I'm expecting that you have learned how to do it, and I give less and less help on the basics of how to work with these files. But I'll give you plenty of help this week. You just need to get on with me. Here's my calendar. And find a time to get a hold of me. Okay, so all the green places are places where I'm available. And you just click on one and type your name and tell me how you want to meet. And you can even come to the Design Hub and meet with me personally. Sometimes that's the best. So these are in-person office hours. These are not Zoom office hours here. These are in-person office hours. I did a little bit of Zoom last week. A few people got on with me. Some people got on, saw that I was busy, and got off within a minute. That's not very useful. It does take me some time. I'm not staring right at your part of the screen all the time. So if you are on a meet with me and there's a time, I'll be there right away. If you come to the office, you'll be able to find me. And just like any office hour, you'll wait until I'm done with the students in front of you. Okay, so there we go. This is where you find out what's due this week, week 2. I'll update this for week 3 when we get there. Okay, so let's take a look. Here's all your resources, what you're going to have, and let's take a look at some of those. Activity 1 is about key terminology. It's actually activity 1.1.1. And you're going to define site work, describe some terms, and add some images. And here are some videos about how to do that and what might work. So you can watch those videos to learn how to do it. Now, here I tell you to scan and to synthesize, and you may not know what those terms mean. Okay, it's specific, and so I've given you how to preview, scan, and study, how to define, and then how to check your own work. Look, if you already know how to do this, if you've been trained and have a system and have a style, then you don't have to do it the way I'm going to show you here. You're welcome to do it in any way that you're comfortable, but you do have to prove to me that you did it. Okay? That's part of what goes in the documents, and you're going to do that with texts and with images. So be sure that as you're doing your preview and scan and synthesizing, that you document that you've done the study and the background work. So first you're going to define site work, and then you're going to describe some terms. Okay? When you do this define, you need to synthesize your own definition. That usually means you look at least 2 or 3 or 4 different definitions, and you combine them in a new way that makes it your own. Synthesize. When you're describing these terms, okay, you're going to find 3 different sites. Okay, and again, you're going to synthesize a brief description of each term. So under grading, it's not just cutting and pasting from one. It's looking at 2 or 3 or 4 and choosing key elements to make your own. Okay? And also, please remember, I talk about this up in these FAQs, that this grading has to do with surveying. It doesn't have to do with grading papers or finding good, medium, bad. Grading is specifically for survey, same with trenching and same with compaction. You need to make sure that you're looking up sites that have to do with site work. Okay, so that's describing the term. And then adding the images, you use a web search. Okay, snip, download, or save them. If you can find some that have clear license that says you can use that, that's good. But in the FAQs, I tell you that since this is an educational product that you're putting together, and that each image is a very small part of your whole package, that you are allowed to use web search and find images. But just as a best practice, if you can find some that are free to use, that's really good. Pixabay is good at that. And there are some other sites too that you can use. All right, so that's about key terminology, and this is all due this week. Let's see where you'll find that in the workbook. And again, you'll need to make a copy of the workbook, which means that you'll need to be logged in. Okay, so section 1.1.1, and this is set up just like you would see it in a specification or a standard or an engineering document. Okay, so you're going to go to this page right here. 1.1.1 is key terminology. This is due this week, and these 3 images are due this week. Okay? So that's what we're seeing right here. Okay, 1.1.2 will be due later on. Okay, I think maybe that's due this week. Now I don't remember. Is that due this week? 1.2.1, no, 1.1. I don't have it on here. I've got to add it in. See, this is why it's good to go through these things. Okay, so I will be adding in 1.1.2 to get that in probably next week. Okay, but it'll be again describe, and logos. Okay, so what you're going to need to do next week is this one, or this week is this one right here, and there's plenty of work to do to get that done. Okay, so let's see what resources you have for that. You have something called classwork notes, site work class notes, and you'll open that up and start doing your work on it. Okay, so here it is. There's 8 pages of work to read and to study and to take notes about and to absorb. So there's plenty of work in there to look at, and there's a bunch of stuff on the YouTube for you to watch. So you'll be very busy just doing this part. It's quite a segment of work, and you're going to do the ones that have to do with site work. Okay, all of these actually do. Okay, but you can pick and choose. You can see they're all short, and you can watch them quickly to get some good information. Okay, so the next thing that's due this week is 1.2.1, which is a revised Revit file, 1.2.1. Site work drawing. Well, let's go find that. 1.2.1. Go to the typical site work drawing, watch these videos, and watch the ones from the playlist, and just summarize what is a typical site work drawing for. Maybe 1 or 2 lines in your assignment workbook. Right here. It's an explanation. 1.2.1. a couple of lines in here. Next, after that, you're going to access the resource files and you're going to modify the Revit drawing. You're actually going to do Revit. I tell you how to do it right here. Now, some of you have been asking, how do I get Revit? How do I do it? I'm going to show you in just a moment. And then you're going to present your work. But that's also due. And you're going to go here and you're going to upload your Revit file. Here you're going to upload your annotation and notes. And then the last thing to do for this week is 1.5. Let's go look at 1.5. Here it is, and it's some game sheets. Okay, so you're going to access the game sheets. You're going to make a copy of each assigned game sheet, and you're going to play each game sheet. Okay, and each one, once you've made all 8 matching pairs, it's a matching game. Download the complete file as a PDF and upload it to the modules. So where do you find the game sheets? There they are right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. Okay, each one should take you maybe 5 minutes. So it won't take you that long to get them all right. All right, so there we go. Here's where your Revit file is. Here's what you're going to mark up. You're going to make them look like this. Now, when I do it, it takes me 5 minutes. It might take you half an hour to an hour. Okay, but you're actually going to do what's called a markup. You're going to take a drawing that somebody has done that's not quite complete or not quite right, and you're going to add the parts that need to be done. So how do you get the file? Okay, the file is right here. That's a Revit file that you can download. And then you're going to have to work with it. Okay, maybe I'll put the link to VMware in here, but I'm going to demonstrate for you how to get to VMware. Okay, click the little plus button. I have VMware here. It's also on the home page. Access our computers right there, really big. So I'll do it right there. And it's this one right here, VMware Horizon HTML Access. And it's your username and password. Okay, and then I show you how to get into it. And you're going to go to the ARC Design and Engineering. If you want to download your own, there's one right here, how to get access to software on your own computer. And you can go there and get to it. Let me know if you have any trouble finding this one. There it is right there. Click. And here's how to get Autodesk, AutoCAD, and Revit for free. But you can't wait. Okay, that might take you a few days. It might take you a week, depending on how fast their process is. So you need to get stuff in. Okay, so that's your overview for this week. There's a lot of reading in this ClassWorks notes. There's a little bit of Revit work. And there's a whole bunch of terminology work. Let me just open one up and I'll just show you. I'll make a copy. Remember, you have to be in here. It says there's a Google script attached to it. Yes, there is. There's one that makes it all work. Okay, so here we go. And if you want to shuffle or do the other one, it takes a little while to do the first one. It can take 30 or 40 seconds. and it's going to ask you to allow it. Okay, so the first time through is a little bit slow, but you can see there's a bunch of pictures, and I've got this in a thing for you, and you just match the pictures with what you're trying to see here. I went a little too far there. You know, so a sewer connection is probably the sanitary system. So you can right click, copy, right click, and paste. And if it goes green, oh, that's good. You get them right. So when that's all done, when they're all green, file, download as a PDF, and then save it. And when they're all done, you upload each one to Canvas. Okay? So there we go. There's your overview for Section 1, which is all about site work. And it's Design 300. And this is for week number 2. Remember, this one takes 2 weeks. It is not all due this week. Some of it will be due next week, and I'll add a second overview next week.